All right. Well, my name is Paul Gandy. I am a freelance photographer and graphic designer, currently based in Norman, Oklahoma, but I lived in Oxford for roughly 18 years, and I graduated from the University of Mississippi in 2010. Um, so now I'm just kind of navigating freelance in a new market. I've been here for roughly a year in Norman, and now I'm here to talk to Frank about my successes and struggles.
That's right. That's right. So let's hear about your path through art in the university. So, but why Ole Miss though? Was that always your first choice too?
Originally, I was going to go to Southern Miss because that's where all my friends went, but they went to university straight out of high school, and I took a year off to work, save up, and then I ended up going to community college at Hines in Central Mississippi. Did that for roughly a year and a half, 2 years, while I continued working, saving money, and then eventually I went to Ole Miss because I had some friends that went up there as well. I was like, yeah, I'll stay in school or stay in state, save a little money, you know how it goes. And I went for computer science and did that for roughly 2 semesters. And after a while, I realized I'm not super math inclined. And it just kind of caught up with me. I was like sitting at the computer, like coding and figuring stuff out. And I was like, I would rather be out and about, like doing stuff, more things with my hands. And so I basically just dropped out right then and there. I was like, I gotta calibrate. I gotta figure out what I want to do. And I went to art, and art's always been something that I've done like through high school and before that. My mom is an artist, my grandmother's an artist, so she likes to say it's in the genetics, or it's just part of the family or whatever. So, but once I joined the art program at Ole Miss, I knew that I had made the right decision because I was working on a project, and I lost all track of time. I wasn't constantly being like, looking around like, what am I doing? I was very focused on what I was doing, and that just kind of cemented that I was where I needed to be. At the time, I wasn't really doing a lot of photography, but I like technology and tinkering and learning ways to connect art with technology and stuff like that. So just was going with graphic design and kind of see where it led.
So, can you talk about your exhibition?
I knew that I wanted to do something different because a lot of the graphic design thesis shows that we're kind of going through were usually going to be like some kind of rebranding or like, a t-shirt company or, whatever. They're making like a storefront kind of thing. And I didn't want to do that. I wanted to do something where I knew would align with how my brain worked. And it was just kind of like all over the place. And I found that how I centered myself was to just kind of like start doodling on a piece of paper so that I can let my thoughts kind of wander and my hand just move and kind of whatever came to it came to it. And after a lot of thought and meeting with my advisor, I kind of brought this idea of like the anti-idea that makes sense at the time. It's like I don't I don't want to have this like crazy concept. I just want to like let something flow out of me and let it like evolve as I work on it. And that's kind of where my thesis started. I just kind of like picked a corner. I picked a size first. So I was like, I want to be crazy ambitious. I was like 12 feet by 3.5 feet is the final size of the piece. And I just kind of picked a corner, started just drawing and doodling and stuff like that. And when I kind of got to like a middle block or got burnt out, I would ask someone to come like draw something randomly, like this little figure or whatever they wanted. And I could use that as another launching point of creativity to continue drawing. And it helped a lot that I was also working as a lab monitor in the graphic design lab. So like I'd be there working like the night shift or whatever, and someone come in and work on their stuff like, hey, come draw my piece a little bit. Like, sure. I was like, yeah. Just kind of turned and then that just kind of like evolved, and I just kept building and building and building on it. And when it came to like the thesis show itself, um, it became like a game for everyone that had drawn something. So they would spend a lot of time like combing over the whole piece, trying to find their drawing or their contribution to it. And that was really fun for me to kind of see people's reactions and them searching and trying to find it. And if they couldn't find it, I was like, my special dumb brain was like, it's right there, like pointing at it. Like, oh yeah. So,
Well, I guess how was your experience as an art student?
I found the art department for me was like a sense of like community and like almost like networking in a way. Um, I'm pretty good at like teaching myself, but as long as I have like some guidance on my ideas and stuff like that, and that's where I find a lot of support, especially through not my mentor, but my advisor and like the professors. If I had like conceptual questions and sometimes like a technical question, they could help me. And then like my friends in the department, we're all kind of nerdy in the same sense. We like computers and art, so we were like, we're Googling or searching and trying to figure out and tinker and breaking stuff and trying to fix it and make it work, like for like designing a website or whatever that may be, or making like a video in Adobe products and stuff like that. So
And so after you left or after you graduated, what was next?
I, I knew that in the art world, if especially dealing with technology, so the graphic design, photo, video, whatever else, if you just stayed stagnant in that one field, it's going to be harder for you to find something to do. At least that's what I thought for me. So I liked being able to do a lot of different things. Um, and so straight out of college, I had applied to this like startup magazine in town that was covering Ole Miss sports, and they kind of saw me as someone who could take pictures, design ads, do magazine layout, and anything between that. And I was like, okay. So they hired me as a ex Ole Miss football player. He played in the NFL. Him and a couple friends, and they started a magazine, and they had me do everything. And so that was like thrown. I was like thrown straight into the fire, as one would say, and I had to figure it out a lot. So it's like I had to like deal with printers for the magazine, and so I was emailing and calling and asking them for help and make sure I got all my stuff straight. So it was definitely like ask questions. Don't stumble for no reason. Like if you don't know it, ask it, ask about it. Otherwise, you're going to hurt the final product. It's going to hurt the business you're working for. And so,
Is the magazine still
yeah,
around?
no, it's kind of consolidated itself. It got bought out by someone else. And I think they cut the magazine out, and now it's more of like an online reporting kind of thing. Which I mean, that's fine for print media. That's kind of what it is, especially in the sports world. Like things are moving pretty quick. Um, but I mean, they're doing fine. It's just like a couple dudes running like an online blog, basically, without name dropping. So
And so what happened after that? I mean, how'd you get? I know you came back and then I ended up taking your position not too
yeah,
long
yeah.
after.
So I was working for that magazine, and I knew that like wasn't going to be the end all be all. So I was gonna look around for other things to do, like side hustle, side hustle, side hustle, that stuff. But I was also working for another magazine in Oxford, like Invitation, like everyone knows that one. So I was doing ad design and photography for them. So that was like little things on my own time I could go do, and that was nice. And then I was searching for just like a more stable job on top of that, and then I can do my freelance stuff and hopefully let that build. And I found that the university was hiring their visual resources specialist. So basically, the person who does all the tech in the art department, and that shifted into like a gallery coordinator job, and amongst other things. It's always a job that's changing. Um, so I got hired for that. Worked there for roughly 4 years, 4.5, and then, as we know, you took over for me. Thanks, good job. But that job gave me a lot of freedom, especially with the current chair, the boss. She was really nice and supportive. I was able to pursue like my photography and graphic design stuff on the side. And as that continued to build, eventually I knew it was time I had to like move on. And that didn't start happening until, well, the idea of knowing that I had to move on didn't start happening until about like 20, wait, like 20, shoot, like 17, I guess. I think it was 2018, 17.
Yeah, I came in 2018.
Yeah, okay, 2016, 17 is kind of like where I started picking up a lot of business. So this is where I learned like probably the biggest lesson about freelance and working for yourself and other people in your field. It's like if something scares you and you're like, I don't know if I can do it, but someone gives you an opportunity to try it, you better try it. Like you better give it a shot. Um, So like one of my professors had a contact. He was looking for someone to be a second photographer for like weddings and other things. Let me know if you can hear a cat in the background because one's trying to get in. But he was looking for someone to help out, and my professor recommended me, and so we set up a meeting. So we met at the Blind Pig, talked about what he was doing, what he was expecting, and he saw some of my photo work, and he kind of liked the style and thought that it was similar to his, and he essentially became like a mentor in the field of like wedding photography, and that turned a lot of different things later on. But he just kind of showed me a different side of what that industry was. It's not He was approaching it from a way that's more documentary focused and telling the story of the couple and letting them live the day as the day unfolds with minimal direction, but still getting like killer shots, really good stuff that they want. So he took me on a couple weddings, like here in some in Starkville, some in Tennessee, and then as time went on, we just taking me to like weddings in New York and San Francisco, and then eventually we did some in like Italy, and then we're like going to Iceland, and before I know it, we're all over the place. And he and I are working together, basically building a business together in photo and video, because we realized that we're both nerds and we just like working with tech. So that's kind of like the the weird way to say it. I guess it's just all over the place, but looking back on it, it's just a blur. I just kept saying yes to things that scared me. I was like, yeah, sure, all right, yeah, all right, let's do it, let's try it. Um, and then now, like whenever a client asks me, it's like, can you do it? I was like, if I know I can do it, I'll do it. And then I go, well, if I can't do it, then I surely I can find someone else that can do it and help you out. So it's always about passing that on to someone else if I can't do something. It's kind of like a simple thought process I go through.
So what are some of the things you've learned along the way, with photography, videography, things that you picked up, things that you turned down?
I guess this for one is understand where you are as far as your skill sets. Um, don't bring on too much work. Like you don't need to overload yourself with work where you're just like not resting because if you're not rested and fully focused, you're going to deliver a bad product. It is what it is. Um, so you got to build up, hold on to your connections. People in your industry are not against you. Uh, Work together and like pass along jobs to someone else if you're too busy, stuff like that. Because I mean, it's that mentality of like, I'm on my own. I got to do everything. And then no, 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 just stop it. Just stop it. Um, like go to conferences if that makes sense for your industry. I've made connections with these conferences, and it's then they'll call me up and like, hey, I got like 3 weddings over here in San Francisco, and like within 2 weeks, can you come? I was like, absolutely, let's work it, let's do it. So networking, I know it's cheesy and feels dumb, but like it's so key, especially in my industry, how I navigate it. Because if I just sat there and made like a Google ad, I'm not going to get any business. It's like just go talk to people. And oh, sorry, it's like another thing is like once you're in your field, sometimes you can kind of figure out what a niche is and that needs to be filled. And for me, I can like look at a business and I can see that like their website imagery is kind of outdated or doesn't look good, and I can show them what I did for someone else and be like, hey, this is what your website could look like. And then, start a conversation there and just kind of see if they want to invest in that or not.
So you don't wait for people to reach out. You're also reaching out to other people.
Yeah, it's a mix of both. It's a mix of both.
And so can you talk about like some of the costs and equipment, things like that? Just investments that you put into yourself, into your creativity.
Yeah. So it's been a slow build. I mean, at the beginning, I had to buy a camera, obviously, so the upfront cost was a good bit. But I didn't like keep buying and buying and buying. I would do jobs to basically make up for the cost of the equipment that I bought. And then as I got more jobs, then I would set aside money so I can buy equipment that would fit my needs later on. Because I mean, when you're familiar with the tool, you can understand whenever you've outgrown that tool or when you need to upgrade it. The more you use it, and obviously some things will break, whatever. It's like you'll just know when you need something else other than just wanting to buy it out of buying it. Um, And so like for example, I had a big job that was like 36 locations, so like northern Michigan down to like the panhandle of Florida and then like almost past like Atlanta and then like Amarillo, Texas. Basically like the Mississippi River and a little bit wider. And when I was doing the math for that job, sent them like the expected costs and invoice and stuff like that. I factored in the fact that I would have to like rent a car or buy a car. So it's like, um, it's just understanding, what how you're going to pay for stuff and thinking ahead, doing a little bit of math here and there. I think I just kind of went off on a tangent a little bit,
I think
but
the last time I saw you, you were talking about that job, if I'm not mistaken.
yeah, it was probably the biggest contract that I've
So
booked to date.
think you bought the car.
Yeah, so it's like I could either like rent a car and fly to each area, or fly to each area and then rent a car and then drive, like 2,000 miles around and come back to it. I was like, or I could just not spend that travel money and buy a car and then use the car as like a business write-off, which it is. I mean, I travel a lot for work, so my car is like 90% business and 10% personal.
So what type of clients do you have? You know, what have you worked with? How's it evolved over the years?
Um, it's evolved from like very localized local businesses, like graduation pictures, uh, stuff like that, to more regional based. So like I started working with marketing agencies because they were wanting to contract photographers. They didn't have an in-house one. I was like, oh hi, what's up? But so I ended up working with like John Deere wholesalers in like South Georgia, Tennessee, the Delta, um, somewhere outside of Atlanta. But and then like the wedding work, I don't really know where that could take me. It's just depending on how you price yourself and the quality of your work, it could take you who knows where. So like for example, when my first wedding I did was $300.
That's it.
Um, yeah, I was like I knew I didn't know what I was doing, but I was like I know I'd be there for 6 hours or something like that. But I was like, yeah, okay, well, seems fine. Like fifty bucks an hour, whatever. But so now I'm up to weddings are like 450, 500 an hour. I don't have a high volume of clients, but I have like more clients that are they're willing to pay for the product. And at this level, they don't like there's no micromanaging me. They're like they know what I can do. They know how I do it basically, and they just want me to do my job. Um, and then I learned that at a certain point, as you price yourself up, and once you get better and better, people just trust you to do your job. They don't want to sit there and tell you what to do. So like when I'm doing a wedding, I'll say I'll be there for 9 hours. We'll talk about everything the weeks that like months leading up to it. How I'm like, this is what I'm gonna do. This is what the timeline is. You want to make any changes? Blah blah blah. And when the day arrives, the couple's just there hanging out, having fun, and I'll just be like, "Yo, we're gonna go over and take some pics." They're like, "Okay," and then they go back to partying or whatever. So,
Are you still doing video and photography at the same time?
I don't do video and photography at the same time at weddings. Usually, I'll recommend a friend who'll do video, something like that, because some people do photo and video at the same time, but I am under the opinion that that kind of diminishes your final product. If you're constantly like, if you're trying to take pictures, you got like switch, got to get a clip of like a video, and then you got to switch back and take pictures. I feel like you're kind of like taking yourself out of what you're contracted to do. But some can pull it off. I just don't think it's my gig.
And so, with AI being all over the place, I came across something today uh, where it said I'm using AI to do my own wedding photos because I'm saving money that way. And then it's a woman in a dress, and she has like two bellies. No, no, I'm sorry, wedding a pregnancy shoot. So she has
Oh,
two
okay, okay,
bellies. Yeah,
okay.
yeah, yeah.
I mean, AI has its place. It's gonna replace a lot of jobs on like the lower end of stuff, but it's never going to truly replace like a professional. it's like I use it as a tool, and I know where it fits in my workflow. I'll use it to edit some photos here and there. Like I had a May, last May or the May of 24, I had 6 weddings in May, so I had a lot, and I had like I got to deliver at a certain point those galleries, and each wedding I'm shooting 2 cameras and a total of we'll say like 7,000 to 10,000 photos per wedding, and that's say I'm there for 9 hours, maybe 12 hours for each one. So I'll manually cull or make my selections of roughly 800 to 1,500, depending on the length of the day and how much was going on. And then I will send that off to my AI editing software, which I have trained on all of my past weddings and events. So it takes my Lightroom catalog, which is the things that I've made edits for, and then it knows how to edit those photos, and it saves me a bunch of time. There is a cost, obviously, but then I can go back to my galleries and I can make my artistic edits, my adjustments, fine tune everything, and then send off the final gallery. It just saves me some like kind of grunt work, basically.
So that cost, is that like financial cost?
Yeah. So it's like for me, it's 5 cents per image. So we'll say like $50 to $75 per wedding to save me 24 hours editing or something like that. It's like, but it's just basically it's just a way to save time. It's not actually replacing anything for me at least.
Because you still got to go back and make some touch-ups, right?
Yeah, like I said, I'll have when I'm photographing a wedding or an event or whatever. I know which photos in my mind are the ones that are like that's going to be like a good pick, or I should go back and make this uh, Photoshop edit or whatever. So
But I guess like software like that didn't exist, what, 4 years ago?
no, I mean, yeah, AI editing for yeah, but about 4 years. That sounds all right.
So that's another investment for yourself.
Yeah, it's just another tool that I use. I mean, I got hosting sites. I got a at-home server so I can back up all my files.
So how do people reach out to you?
So I had my Google search engine optimization set up for Oxford pretty well. So when they just type in like, photographer, I would usually show up towards the top. Um, a lot of my stuff is by like word of mouth.
So has it changed, moving up north, like as far as
Yeah.
work?
Yeah. So, I mean, I had contracts set out like a year and a half in advance for all kinds of stuff. So I was back and forth a good bit, and I was driving that each time. So it's like 9 hour drive, but it's fine. It's all part of it.
So how's it, I guess, how's work up there?
I'm in the rebuilding phase, I guess you could say. So we're up here. Oklahoma's cheap. Not really doesn't cost much to live. So like I said, I was traveling a lot back and forth, getting those older contracts done. And I am actually like on the back end. I'm working on my Google SEO stuff, updating my LinkedIn recently, all that kind of stuff, getting all of the keywords in place, and I'm updating my galleries and all that stuff. So I'm gonna like roll out a big update my website and some ads in the region, and then I'm beginning to cold call some agencies up in Oklahoma City, see if they're looking for freelancers and whatever, and send them off my stuff. So basically, I'll put together like a package I can send to some of these agencies that has John Deere work, portrait work, editorial work, whatever, in like a really nice condensed link. So if they want to see my stuff, they can see it right off the rip, and then we can start the conversation from there.
Every now and then I get on LinkedIn and I see people, especially I guess in the corporate world, they're looking for a graphic designer, but they're also looking for a UX, UI, videographer, all that combined into the graphic designer. And I've like I don't want to stay stagnant. I just don't want to do graphic design. I want to experiment. What's your take on all that? Should people experiment or should you just stay in the I guess, area that they know.
Experimenting, I think is very important. If you want to look at the current landscape, I mean, I'm going to go back to AI. It's if that is not a flag for you to do something, then you better wake up because that's going to be taking away a lot of like it's taking away base coding jobs, like anything in the bottom that's pretty the database entry, stuff like that. So there's a future where companies hire AI agents to do work that, like a normal person could do. And so we call it like mental grunt work, basically. So it's good to look around your industry and see what else you can pick up or maybe start learning. Like you said, the UI UX design, I mean, that's a design work. Like AI isn't going to be able to perfectly do what the client wants them to do. They could like put some keywords in there and be like, make my user interface look like this, but it's still going to be buggy, wonky, whatever. So if you understand that code and how to use that stuff, you can go in there and make those fixes and polish it up for the client. And if that's still in the graphic design world, then yeah. Um, Maybe pick up a camera, start learning how to do like a little bit of studio things so that you can make your own stock photography for your graphic design projects. There's ways you can try and incorporate more than just what you learned in the beginning. Like I said, I started graphic design and then I pulled in photography and I do some videography and I do drone work and everything I can. I mean, I do weddings, documentary work, portraits, editorial. It's like anything in that world I can kind of put my hands on and start learning is what I'll try and do. And now I got a cat in here. But I have a client hosting site. If you go to paulgandy.pixieset.com, Pixie set. Yeah, so this is how I host and deliver like the final product of galleries and stuff like that. So they'll have you click on a link, you click on one, and then it'll take you to the gallery. And then if you try to download it, I'll ask you like a download pin and stuff like that. And I can make them private, I can hide them, I can whatever. So you're not seeing like everything because some of them are hidden.
I guess let's go through some of these if you have some time. Pick some of your favorites from like each subcategory.
So I mean, if you click on personal, that's going to be more. I just want to take my camera with me and have fun creating while I was like experiencing something. The most recent one where I had a lot of fun would be Japan. So I just went as part of a trip for a buddy of mine. That was like his dream trip before he got married, bachelor trip. I was like, bet, let's go. So went around, ate some good food, took some pics, saw some things, just fun. And then I was also in that in that personal section. I covered like the Black Lives Matter stuff, and then like further down, I did something. I did a thing in Puerto Rico with All Hands and Hearts. So like Code Pink and Oxford when they were starting out, I wanted to. I'm good friends with Blake and Nathan, yeah. And I was like, hey, can I document like y'all's event? I want to give you the photos, help you just kind of advertise and help grow the your community surrounding it. They're like, duh. So I do stuff like that. And then obviously Black Lives Matter. I wanted to make sure that there were accurate representing accurate accurate representation of what was actually happening in Oxford. Um, so I want to get those done. And like those photos, for example, they're open link, free to download for anybody. I'm not gatekeeping them for anything. It's like many people that were there. I was like, hey, here's the link. Download the photos. Use it to share the message. That kind of stuff. And then under freelance, let's see, where is it? Just different companies. It's like companies in the Delta. Oxford Utilities, Visit Oxford, like Blue Delta. Um, the various John Deere dealerships and stuff for Hunt Marketing and Trade Park. So that's just fun. They just send me out on these jobs. They're like, we want to update our website. We want to update our headshots. We want to have stuff for like marketing or whatever. So they just kind of turn me loose to get all the access. I go out there and try and make some good stuff for them. You'll see there's the one I was talking about where I had like bought a car for it. That's the Buzzi Unison, Buzzi. It's a Italian concrete company that has locations out here. And so it's like, I mean, it's nothing exciting, but it's just they're basically just concrete silos they use for distribution. So mixing the dry concrete. And so the executives, CEOs, I guess, based in Italy, they're like, we need all of our American locations updated. Um, and I was lucky enough to have a connection, and they'd seen my stuff and they asked me about it, and I was like, all right, let's talk. And we kind of worked on a deal for make sure I was properly compensated and I delivered what they expected.
So how long was this project?
They gave me a year to do it.
Hmm.
I could plan it at my own pace, so I did it in three chunks. Um, the last chunk was like 2 weeks, and like the other chunks were like a week each. But I was doing so I'd arrive like outside whatever location on like a Sunday, stay in a hotel, and then wake up before the sun, get to the location, start shooting at sunrise, and then drive anywhere from 45 minutes to 5 hours to the next one to uh to photograph that. And these each location they have different hours, so I had to plan about around their hours and who was there and personnel and talk to the managers and coordinate and let them know that I'm like on the way or running behind schedule or whatever. So logistically, it was a lot, but I think I charged them appropriately for it.
Did you take any video? Or was it all photo?
It's all photo. So I mean, I was very strict in the beginning. I was like, all right, what do you guys want? I can do drones. I can do this. They go, for legal reasons, they didn't want to do anything with drones because some of these sites, there's just not, the airspace isn't there. So we're like, all right, we won't do that at all. So it's just everything is just photo based of me standing on the ground. So I'm wearing like full PPE, hard hat, high vis, safety glasses, earplugs, all that stuff. Some of it's like near the water, so I got to wear like a life vest. And every time I meet with like the location manager, it's like he would have an idea that I'm coming. Some of them had just didn't read their emails, which I get it. I mean, they're just working, but I was like, oh, what do you need? It's like I don't need to be on top of anything. I don't need to be like inside of any buildings. I just need to walk around. I'll be here for like an hour, 2 hours max, and I'm out. It's like, heard. Let me know if you need anything. Uh, NBC came here to shoot a show. Here, I say it, here being Oxford, and they needed an on-set photographer, and so they were setting up like a what's her name, the main person. She does like food cooking shows on like Good Morning America and stuff like that. And she's based here. But like so they're doing two guys doing video, they had sound, and I was there just kind of getting whatever photos they wanted. They wanted like photos for website, they wanted BTS stuff, things that they could use for like print. So most of the BTS stuff is like black and white on there. But yeah. And then another good one is the Lasseter galleries. Those are pretty good. So I was working with Hunt Marketing. So they would use this stuff for billboards, advertisements, print, web, social media, recruitment for mechanics.
So how is it working with like an agency like Hunt? They don't have a photographer in house?
Um, they come in pretty objective based. So they would have a guy they're doing video, and so he and I we basically kind of start the day next to each other. He'd have his specific goal, and mine was to kind of like get what he was getting and more. And the and more would just be get the mechanics working on tractors, maybe get like hands and stuff like that, art shots, things that the business can use on their website to just show professionalism. Um, Headshots and stuff like that. So he would be like interviewing somebody, and I would go off and get what I needed. And we do this at each location, and we do like a week worth of shooting. We travel on a Monday, sometimes a Sunday, so we can work on Monday, but we work 4 days out of the week because usually you have to travel. So it's like um, and we go to different settings. So we would go to the store itself, and then we would get, like I said, the mechanics and the products that they have, and then we'd go to a location where the John Deere products are being used. So some guy had a company and he's cutting grass for like all the high schools in the area or whatever. And then we go to someone's house and they would get like a lawnmower in action, like a residential setting, and we get like a residential product with residential background. Or say like for example, Christmas was coming and they would have like a kid on a toy tractor so they could use it for, seasonal advertising. Um, and then we would go to an actual farming operation, whether that would be like cotton, soybeans, peanuts, sweet potatoes, whatever, depending on the region that we're in. And we get the equipment being used, and there I could like fly a drone if I wanted to or whatever. But usually I just kind of use like a big long lens and would get what I needed, or I would jump on the tractor itself, ride with a farmer, get like him interacting with like the equipment on the tractor because a lot of it's like new tech and stuff like that. So, and yeah, and then we kind of rinse, repeat, go to like another store, go meet with someone using the equipment, stuff like that. So if you look at the Lassiter tractor from 2023, it's the lead image with like a big front grill of a tractor. That was like the first one I did with Hunt Marketing, and like the clients themselves basically they're like, we want Paul to come back and do it. I was like, damn, that's an ego boost. I'll take that one. But like, they like the stuff so much that they wanted me to come back and keep doing like their next, whatever.
People getting into photography, things like that, and like in your situation, trying to dabble and everything. What advice, do you have for them?
Um, just get super familiar with the technical side of something. As soon as you get the technical side of something out of the way, then it's much easier to be creative and to put yourself in the moment. So that's what I do. Like, I don't have to sit there and think like, oh God, what settings do I need? I just do it. I just know it. It's just like a reflex at this point. Especially I say in like run and gun scenarios. So it's like weddings where, things are happening quick usually. You can't just like, hey, stop, do that again because it happens once. Um, and I apply that same process to the same thought process to like these jobs for like the tractor company or the John Deere and stuff like that. Like some of these things are happening quick, they're happening once, maybe twice. And if you don't get what you need, there might not be enough time to do it again because there's more stuff on the schedule you got to get to. People are waiting, you're taking up their time to get this done. So it's get the technical side out of the way, and then everything else will come. Especially if you like doing it, you just keep shooting, keep taking pics, bring your camera with you. Even if you don't think you want to take a picture, sometimes just have it with you. And the best camera to take with you is any camera, whether that's your phone. It doesn't have to be a professional camera or whatever. And if you're walking around and you get the little itch in your brain, it's like, take a picture of this. Like, just take a picture. What's it gonna hurt? Just delete it later. You know, it's not a big deal.
What advice would you have for like business owners looking for a photographer? People that have no idea what goes into photography. They don't even know what they're looking for, Like what advice
Yeah,
would you have for them?
definitely look at the person's work, and if you know you want headshots, look at their headshots. Just and then sometimes you can tell by the price points that this photographer's putting out there, like that they know what they're doing or they don't. It's like if you're a business owner, you're like, I need new, and you want professional looking headshots, and the person's like, I can do it for $25. It's probably not going to look good. There's a good chance that they don't exactly know how to deliver what you want. And if you want something really good and you want it to be quick and you want to be efficient, you're probably going to have to pay for it. Um, and if you pay for good photography, that is literally the face of your business half the time. That's like the first thing a lot of people are going to see. If they see a crooked cell phone picture of like, let's say you're a landscaping company or whatever, and it just doesn't look good, it's hard to sell other people on your product. So if you want to keep a high quality, go for high quality to show the quality of your work. So I mean, it's like work together in that sense.
What advice do you have for people, I guess, pricing themselves as well? Because I know I had trouble pricing myself as an undergrad, and then even still now, you know.
Yeah, that's always really tricky, especially for freelance work, because like I said, every job is different. Um, I always say at least give yourself over minimum wage. If we all know minimum wage is not good right now, so give yourself find out what a base pay is good for you, whether that's hourly or like a day rate or a half day rate, and then understand how many hours of work you have after you physically do the job. How much computer time that's going to be. Also, do you have any hosting costs? Like when you deliver, for me, I deliver, this gallery you're looking through, like that costs money. Um, so you can kind of break it down that way. Whether you got to write this all down on a piece of paper and look at it and be like, well, okay, well, I spend 500 a year on hosting. How many jobs will it take for me to pay for that? That kind of stuff. Just make sure you're not working for free or working at a deficit unless you just know that this job is going to be one that like leads to a bunch of other jobs. Um, don't do work for exposure. That's straight up bullshit. Make sure you get paid. And a lot of these companies that want you to do work, they have money. They're actively seeking someone to do a job, so they have money. So don't let them undervalue you. Understand your value and what you can bring, and understand your skills and your limits. And you'll learn from there.
What are some of your challenges?
Well, getting contracts set up for like specific jobs, basically protecting your interests, protecting your business, protecting everything you built from some stupid legal thing happening. Um, it's like you got to have a contract. Like just make a contract, man. Like, and then obviously separate your business from your personal finances and stuff like that, so that you can't predict what's going to happen. You just have to make sure you have all the fail safes there. Um, and it's boring and it's time consuming because a lot of the times as an artist, they don't teach you anything about that. They're like, think conceptually. The light's really pretty. Okay, good. Well, how do I write a contract? Good luck. It's like, how do I set up business insurance for this shoot or like venue insurance at this place? It's like I got to have $1 million worth of coverage, accidental coverage or something like that. So I hire the smart people because I'm not that smart. But yeah,
All right, well, I guess that's it, man.
heck yeah, dude.
You know, I appreciate your time. Just trying to get some inspiration, some insight from a professional.
I don't even consider myself professional. I'm just trying to. I run two main cameras. They're mirrorless. They're Nikons. Nikon's just the ecosystem that I bought, and I like it. It works for me. Any professional camera is going to work. It's fine. Um, I have I make sure I have the focal ranges that I want. So I have a 70-200 2.8. I have a 24 to 70 2.8, and those are lenses I can, depending on a job. So I know that I don't have to take my lenses off. I don't have to risk getting sensor dust and damage and whatever in environments where there's a bunch of dirt flying around working in those farms. So I can put those on and I can wear my dual harness and I have two cameras on me and I have a wide range of options to shoot the scene. And I apply that for weddings. So I'll have my fancier lenses that do one thing, they do it really well. So my prime lenses, excuse me. So I have a 35, I have a 50, and I have an 85. And those are they're pretty. They do the job well. They look really nice. I like them. So it's like, and then I have a bunch of flashes that I use for wedding receptions and various portraits and stuff like that. So I guess my total, if I had to accumulate all the gear that I bought, like drones and batteries and memory cards and stuff, I think it's somewhere around like 30K.